All right, slant board, lateral broad jumps. Again, I use them in a contrast type situation. We'll lift something heavy and then we'll come over and do a plyometric to work both ends of the spectrum on that force velocity curve. We've done forward broad jumps. We do vertical broad jumps. If you've been sticking with me, you'll recognize that I like to challenge all planes, all vectors. So this is one of the ways that we do it. So in this cycle, we're doing an Olympic lift, and then we're going to come over and we're going to do some lateral broads. It also exposes our tissues to some moves that we don't do quite often. And as we age, specifically that lateral side to side or frontal plane starts to get real weak or weeble wobbly. So this allows us to give some impulse and some deceleration or some catching in the lateral vector or in the frontal plane. So we'll come over. We're using a slant board just because it reinforces the lateral movement, where if you're on the ground, you can do it on the ground, but sometimes you don't get that same force into the ground. So we have it up against the wall so it doesn't slide. And at first, we're really not worried about how far out we get. We're really worried about pushing and then stopping ourselves. If we end up in a stagger, if we rotate just a little bit, that's okay. But ultimately, we're exposing our body to stopping sideways, stopping a force from pushing us over. If you think about when you get bumped into and you put a foot in the ground to try to stop yourself from falling, we talk a lot about falling here. If you are not used to stopping yourself sideways, you're more likely to tip over. For our seasoned members or our members that joints don't feel as strong, it can be as simple as a step and stop. Okay, ultimately, for some people, that's going to be as hard as anything because they haven't exposed themselves to any violent movement left and right. So again, we're going to do 2 each side with this cycle. The press and the length is not as important as pushing and stopping ourselves. Once you can stop yourself, then you can progress to jumping even further. If you really want to challenge yourself and you're like, Evan, this is too easy, then press and land on one foot and stop yourself. So if you're one of those super athletes that needs to challenge himself even more, go to a single side. So slant board, lateral broad jump, it does progress, and I can show that in another video, but add this bad boy in to help yourself with some of that lateral movement, preventing yourself from falling.